War Eagle, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we sit down and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. And boy, what a day it has been of highs and lows again, back and forth all over the place. News galore to talk about. And finally, here on 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday nights, we have normally done a show to grade the latest Auburn football game. Let's be honest, folks, none of us really want to talk about that game, nor are we interested in that at this point, because there is plenty of other things afoot to discuss tonight. We have been covering it all day on social media, on here, and we're not done yet because this will be a reaction show mainly based around the concept of John Cohen being named the new Auburn Athletic Director. But within that, we can talk about several different other things. We've already done one live stream today about the announcement of Coach Bryan Harsin being fired, and now several of his staff members as well. And now we know that Coach Cadillac Williams, we also did a stream for that, will be the interim head coach for the Auburn Tigers for the rest of the season, for the foreseeable future is what we should say to be more accurate on that. That is what we have in front of us. A fired coach, a hired interim coach, a AD, a deputy AD as well to discuss. All of that is on the table for you tonight. I would love to hear your comments, your questions, derogatory rebuttals, really around the conversation of what does all this mean going forward for Auburn and what, specifically for Auburn football. We're going to try to dive into some of that tonight. So anything is fair game with what's happened today. Just know that we'll probably spend a little bit of time, especially focusing on John Cohen, but the firing and the hiring are also fair game as well. So a couple things for you as we get started. Please do make sure you smash that like button. If you enjoy this type of content, it does help the stream out, whether you're watching this live replay, whether you're watching here at home base of YouTube, whether you're watching on Facebook or Twitter. Post right now where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. Let me know that you are here and that you're watching. Also want to remind you that if you haven't, come to YouTube and subscribe. We are having a subscriber giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section, not the live chat. Any eligible video details are in the description for that. But make sure you check in right now. Let people know that you're here, part of our stream tonight, because we want to have a good old-fashioned Auburn family get-together. So what we're going to do also tonight for you guys, we only usually do this on Wednesday nights, we are going to open up the phone lines. If you would like to call into the show, there is a chat link available up at the top of the live chat right now. So click on that. You can be on camera, off camera, whichever you would prefer. Would love to hear some of y'all's perspectives and opinions live and in person. Either your voice or your face, and your voice too would be much appreciated tonight. So with that being said, let's dive into saying hello to some of you all that are popping into the show tonight. Linda, Rowe, Thomas, Big Simps here celebrating Cadillac Williams' unbeaten Lake. Austin Scott, our co-host for the Auburn Experience. Wow, Austin, our episode seems a little lackluster now given the events of today, doesn't it? Brian's here. Teddy from Texas. Devin is here. Good to see you. Robert from Louisiana, Damien, lots of new faces I'm seeing on here. I hope some of y'all have found us for the first time and will feel like you're welcome here. We like to give you lots of content, hopefully based in context and not so much in the emotions of the things. We like to have a well-rounded experience here. So drop your comments and questions. We'll go along. I'll offer my opinions as they come up. We'll hopefully hear from some of y'all that maybe want to call in tonight and say hello. I'd love to see some of y'all here. Excuse me. All right. Let's see here. Thomas says, cut the porch lights off, y'all. Halloween can kick rocks. Jessica will love you for that, Thomas, because that is her favorite phrase in the world. That's my wife. We've got Auburn to talk about. Yes. Jessica, I told her she needed to leave the downstairs light on for another 30 minutes and her man the station down there, but I have a feeling that she's going to be locking down the Halloween nights. This is the first time in a long time I've almost forgotten it was Halloween because of the amount of information that's been coming on there for quite some time. Gracie asks, who will be on the field Saturday? Oh, who will be on field staff Saturday with Caddy? That's honestly, so far from the information that's going to be provided right now, they are just trying to get to Saturday at this point. I would imagine whatever they can muster at this point. There's so much going on right now. Damien, second time watching. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you joining and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Make sure you haven't, you are subscribed here. How have the players and former players reacted? I've been off Twitter for over 2 months, so that's probably a good thing. Unbeaten leg, just stay away. Listen, you're going to get a mixed bag of things. I think the prevailing thought is a lot different from Coach Malzahn, where you saw a lot of support from current and former players for Coach Malzahn and not agreeing with the decision. You're seeing a little bit less of that here. I think, less time means there's less time to endear yourself towards, you know, the fan base, everything. And so there's probably not as much of a sway one way or the other. I did see a lot of players super excited about Cadillac Williams being named the interim head coach. So that's a plus in the column for him. So that's really kind of what I've been seeing, is not a lot of lamenting about this. I think I did see Micah Riley Ducker, tight end, upset with some of the fans' response to all of this. And I understand that, and I tend to agree with him a little bit. But yeah, it's been a little bit all over the place, but kind of what you would expect, to be honest. Robert wants Dion, as is everybody else and their mother. Kiffin as head coach. I would imagine they will be at least seeked out. Auburn will seek them out for their interest level, probably. Big Simp. As we know, Harsin was fired, but 2 years is not a good look, is what you meant, regardless. Who do you think will be beating down the door to come here, knowing they will not be given enough time to rebuild? I agree and disagree with you, Big Simp. Auburn, this kind of goes back to this narrative that some of the national pundits put out there, that who wants to come to Auburn thing, which I vehemently disagree with. But I also understand your point that there has been a precedent set now, and it's not a good one to set. So I think if you're going to come to Auburn, you have to have the assurances that you're going to be given a certain amount of time or other things like that. Really, you can help yourself by agreeing to a big buyout. So someone like Lane Kiffin can definitely garner that type of interest and garner that type of a buyout. So that would protect him to some degree from that. I don't think you have to worry about that. Let's see here. I know a couple of ESPN personnel are pulling for us to hire Dion. I've heard RG3 and Dick Vitale. Yeah, listen. If you want to win the Energy Hire Award, the Splash Publicity Hire Award, Dion's where you go. Here's the thing, folks. John Cohen, as we're trying to talk about a little bit in this stream, has to make a decision. Is what's best for Auburn the guaranteed early splash or the long-term splash? Now, that's not to say that, and when I say that, I'm obviously associating Dion with the short-term splash. I think that's pretty obvious. You will definitely get that to start off in many facets. But honestly, I don't know that that's the best long-term solution. I could be wrong, and if that's what they choose, I hope I'm wrong about that. But I just don't see that happening. John Cohen, I think, is probably going to take his time with this one, because there's not really anybody available other than a Matt Rule that has been name dropped a few times that can come in right away or quicker than anybody else. A Lane Kiffin's going to wait. A Dion's going to wait. A Jeff Grimes will probably wait. A Hugh Freeze will wait to the end of the season. It's just not going to happen that quick at all. Let's see. I'm trying to follow some of the comments on here. You're going to hire the Oregon coach. I will put money on it. Teddy from Texas says, Dan Lanning. I don't know. I haven't seen his name out there a lot, but listen, he can take his time and go to whoever else he wants. Here's the great thing with the administration and Chris Roberts, our president, who took their time, probably had a guy in John Hartwell that they would have liked as athletic director, but then a guy like John Cohen comes in, and you want to take that option there because it's a guy with SEC experience. So I do want us to move into somewhat of that discussion a little bit, and we're going to bounce back and forth between the firing, the hiring, or future hiring, Cadillac all tonight. So if we're talking about something that doesn't necessarily interest you, stick around with us because this is going to be an all-encompassing night. And if you want to dictate kind of where the conversation goes, call in tonight. Don't be shy. Okay. So with that being said, let me open us up with this about John Cohen. I would like to poll the room and ask everybody to share in the chat. What are your feelings about the hire of John Cohen? Because that's really the most definitive thing that we have to talk about right now, because Cadillac is an interim. Y'all saw me if you watched the last stream. Super excited, super stoked about that. I can't say enough good things about that. But it's an interim. The firing's done. Hopefully we can stop focusing on that and just move on to the future, because I think we really need that at this point. But what do you think about this hire? There was, I think, a little bit of trepidation with this because of speculation about pushback with this one from certain places or Mississippi. Here's the thing. If you're basing your decision on what the fans of the school he's leaving on, then you're never going to be able to make a hire, because every school is going to act like their guy we didn't want him anyway. It's called a pride thing. So take that into consideration if your argument for not liking John Cohen is because Mississippi State, he was on the outs there anyway, which may or may not be true. Gracie loves the hire. It will be an SEC guy. Auburn man has the next head coach is maybe what you mean there. If you're talking about John being an SEC guy, I think personally that throws a huge win in the column for him in terms of what made this hire. You cannot discredit knowing how to operate in the SEC. Yes, it's from Mississippi State, whose football program is kind of in its history, but they weren't irrelevant. Made a splash hire in Mike Leach, and it's worked out to some degree. But the holistic nature with which an AD has to have, this guy seems to have a pretty good resume. That one coach at Auburn who is going to be very thankful that this guy is here, Butch Thompson, because he is his former head coach. Most of you probably don't know that. John Cohen is their former head coach of baseball. Came on as an associate athletic director after he retired from that, athletic director, and now he's here. So a couple other things that we want to talk about within that as well. Teddy says, I don't know for sure, but based on college shows I watch, listen, it's a Grand Slam 80 hire. Now, let's not get crazy, okay? I don't want us to sit here and act like we have just made the best hire of all time, because we don't know that, right? There's no way to know that. There was no way to know that Harsin wasn't going to work out at the time. You don't know that until he gets here and sees what he has to compete against. John Cohen apparently is from Tuscaloosa, like was born there, spent his life in the South, has been around here, knows how to operate, knows the people of the Southeastern Conference. He's got a lot of things in his favor, but it's still Auburn. It's still the state of Alabama / the state of Auburn, as I love to say, that you have to learn to operate in, because that's even more intricate and more nuanced and more complicated than just the SEC. So he will have a lot up against him, but he has a lot of opportunity as well as Auburn, as anybody really would. I really don't know him, but people speak very highly of him. I think if you look hard enough, you're going to find good and bad on both sides. I think that's where you really should find yourself right now, is optimistic about what this means for Auburn. And especially, the big question we can ask ourselves as part of our title for the show, what does it mean for Auburn football, where he's going to potentially go? This is an SEC guy and who with an SEC mindset. So really, you're probably going to find someone from the South that, or ties to the South, that really understands things. All right, we got our first caller tonight. We'll get back to some of your comments and questions, but let's say hello to our first caller of the night. We love to talk to him, Mr. Thomas Manville. How is it, sir?
Pretty good. War Eagle, and happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween to you, sir. Trick or treat. I guess there was a little bit of a trick today, and now there's some treats. Just all goes on a day like today, doesn't it?
It's great to be an Auburn Tiger, but what a day to be an Auburn Tiger today. It's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, it is. Do I look tired? I mean, I'm not done after this, folks. I've actually got to step in for No Huddle, because our podcast, No Huddle, that covers Auburn football, they had their show recorded for last night for the week. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of things that are irrelevant in their discussions. So I will be stepping in to help fill in to re-record something tonight. So when we get off here, my night is far from over, my friends. It's going to be a long day.
Well, I'll say a prayer for you, buddy.
Please do. I love this job. I love doing this. I love being with you guys. But days like this, they just will kill you, because there's so much. Like, my phone has been going off the hook all day. As I know, many media, I was watching Zach Blackerby's stream earlier, and he was literally couldn't stop silencing his phone the entire time. And that's how I feel like right now too. Probably not to the extent that his is, but whew, it's been a day. All right. What's on your mind, sir?
The first thing, Cohen, the new athletic director, he had success as an AD outside of football at a university with about half the financial resources and material resources that he's going to have at Auburn. So I'm not upset with the hire. He knows the territory. He grew up here in Alabama, so he knows how important football is. He knows how important football is across the SEC. And Mississippi State has a track record of sending their ADs to places where they do really well.
Right. Yeah. So I do think there are a lot of things on the surface, especially, to really like about Cohen. Some of the things that you mentioned are, I think, it's hard sometimes, because we all have these ideas of what a splash football hire is, but it's hard to really picture what a splash AD hire is. I think, if we're in a situation where Bruce Pearl is retiring from coaching, that's a splash hire because it's your guy. I think if it was this was an Auburn person that was coming, I think maybe a John Hartwell, who was supposedly the leading candidate for quite some time from Utah State, it wouldn't have been a splash hire in the national spotlight, but it would have been more popular here, especially amongst the water cooler of Auburn fans, because you're like, that's our guy, that's our person. But just because you're not part of the family yet doesn't mean you can't assimilate into it. Pat Dye is the perfect example of that. So we got to get behind him, and we got to be really excited and supportive and ready to get this thing going in the right direction, because we cannot, in football specifically, become Tennessee.
Yeah, that's yeah, absolutely, 100% right. That's the last thing anybody ever, and especially us as the Auburn family, that's the last thing we want. But I do need to take a step back and eat my plate of crow, so to speak. I was a Harsin guy for a long time, and he's gone. He could not prove that he was worth keeping around. There were a lot of other factors. He may have only had one leg to stand on, but yet he's gone. So I'll take my medicine, and I'm still all Auburn all day. There is no other option. So I'm going to be all on board with the Cohen hire. I'm going to be all on board with Cadillac being our interim head coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I love it. I absolutely love that. And I'm interested to see if he does anything with the offensive line. Does he change up and simplify some of these blocking schemes and go, put your hat on this man's hat and run him the way that he ran behind? Yep. I don't know if he's got enough time to do something like that, or what they're going to do offensively. They may just stick with what they got, but
yeah,
I'm all for it moving forward. 100%. I'm on board with Caddy as the interim. I don't think I can stress that enough, to be honest with you. I absolutely love it.
The question I have to ask is, and I've seen talk about it, but I don't think anybody has really said definitively, whose decision was it to put Cadillac in place? Was it Chris Roberts? Was it, you would think, Rich McGlynn, the interim head coach, who is now going to be your deputy athletic director, by the way. So those of you that were in the camp of Rich McGlynn, I saw a lot of late campaigning on social media for him. And I think rightfully so, because of what he's done for Auburn and getting Bruce Pearl fully the compliance issues done and stuff like that. Auburn knew what they had in Rich McGlynn, and they found a way to bring someone in that's going to be able to keep this guy around too. So we talk about, top down leadership. Starts at the top. You want to have guys that know what they're doing, have the experience, but also you want to have your people, your Auburn people in place. Rich McGlynn is one of those. And if heaven forbid something happens to John Cohen, you got a guy right there ready to step up and be number 2. So I don't want us to sit here and act like everything's fine and dandy and rosy now, but I feel a lot better than I did this morning.
I do as well. I thought the other coaches getting let go today was kind of interesting. It kind of seems like when you're leaving, please take the rest of your stuff.
Right.
But it wasn't. I think it was Schmedding was the one that wasn't with him at Boise. He went somewhere else, and then he was brought in.
I believe that is correct. Yes, I believe Schmedding went somewhere else after Boise.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that if you're taking the one guy and most of his staff, why would you not take that guy? But there may not be a clear-cut guy to run the defense right now. Mm-hmm. So you got to factor that in. But we're in a tough spot.
I agree. Yeah. So one of the interesting things about this, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a tidbit live here. I don't even know if I should be sharing this, and maybe it's been shared other places, but it is my understanding that the firings outside of Harsin were not Rich McGlynn, were not anybody else. Cadillac fired them. What do you think about that? If that is true, if it is true, that I cannot confirm or deny that, that is just the word from the sources that I talked to, that supposedly Cadillac fired Brad Bedell, Eric Keesall, and several other support staff as well that were the Boise crews. So what does that say to you, or what do you think about that, if true?
I'm sitting here smiling because you said it and I didn't have to. So I'm thankful for that. But if that was the case, it makes me think that sometimes a snake may have more than one head.
Right.
If that makes sense. I don't want to go into a deep dive and go, ha, this, that. Like, I don't want to do that. But if that's the case, then yeah, I feel like him knowing Auburn as well as he does, and he probably relates to this team better than most of the coaching staff does, outside maybe a Rock Bellatoni, a Brumbaugh, a Zach Etheridge. I think maybe if they gave him the reins and that was his call, then I'll continue to eat crow because I was completely wrong about a lot of things.
Right.
It's wild, man.
It is. Devin says that Schmedding was the linebackers coach at 2020, so he came over. He was one of those that came in kind of late in the coaching staff. So I guess it was if that's true, then that would be a straight carryover to that. But kind of like you said earlier, and I agree with this, I was talking about someone with it earlier. It's interesting that let's not even argue the point of who went somewhere else or not. They're still his guys that he brought over from that part of the world, all that kind of stuff. So, you fired all these other ones. Why didn't that one go to? Well, you look at who is going to be your interim head coach. It's an offensive guy, right? He's going to want his identity, his vision for what this is going to be. You got rid of your tight ends coach. You got rid of your head coach, obviously your offensive coordinator. Ike Hilliard has no ties to the former head coach, so he can stay around, obviously. Will Friend, there's some speculation whether he needs to go or not, but he wasn't even really tied to Harsin. Frankly, I think as much as people may be upset with Will Friend, you might need just any stability that the offensive line can get at this point is probably a good thing. So it makes sense that Jeff Schmedding can finish out the year, hopefully, keep the defense together. And, he's shown that this defense, when given support consistently, can also show up as well. I think he's probably had some issues at times that needed to be addressed, but I think it's fair to say he's been the better of the two sides of the ball.
Yeah, I'll agree with that because we have yet to establish or dominate the line of scrimmage in any game I've watched this year. Mm-hmm. And it's disheartening, especially watching it defensively, because we're in such a bad spot with the line of scrimmage, and then the second level, the linebackers are really struggling to tackle. Like I don't understand a lot of it, and then you're leaving the secondary on an island a lot of times, and that's difficult. So at the end of the day, it starts with the line of scrimmage, and they're absolutely not getting it done on
Yeah.
either side. Either side.
Yeah. Interesting point to bring up here from this, and this kind of it brings it back. Obviously, this is a stream that we're really always circling back to the AD on. Drew Fabian, I struggle pronouncing it, but the guy who was brought over from the Cowboys, to be kind of the I don't know how you would describe it. He has an official title, or had an official title. He's fired now. But basically like the operations manager type thing, just a step below Harsin, but he's handling the business side of things. I found that interesting too, because when that hire was announced, to me, that sounded like almost an AD level type of position that would be something outside of the staff of the football team, like part of it, but almost like the liaison. It's like the football's liaison to the business side type of things. That is interesting that fire was made, but we are clearly cleaning house. And again, my question is, was that a Roberts decision, McGlynn decision, or was it Cohen who said, I need you to clean house as much as possible before I get there?
That sounds like kind of a Cohen thing of, hey, it's been announced, but it's not finalized at all. I kind of need this to know that I'm secure in coming over here and taking this job. It's kind of what it sounds like, because that doesn't seem like that would come from a head coaching or just necessarily a president standpoint with out of nowhere, really.
Yeah. Corey, yes, SI did report that. And I would say that the firing of Harsin definitely that's a firing that has to happen by the powers that be, that buzzword, the president or the athletic director, if we had an official athletic director at the time, which, timelines are messy because apparently he's been the AD for a while. Do you listen to reports? It's always funny for me to watch, that people say, no, it's real. I'm like, it's not technically real until the athletic department announces it, right? I've been waiting all day for this athletic director announcement. It finally comes across my desk. And so I can finally say officially it's real. Yeah. Interesting times, my friend. So final thoughts for you. What would you say? Any other things that you had in mind about Cohen, about football, about Harsin, just anything that you wanted to speak on?
I'll summarize it as best I can. It's been a long day to be an Auburn Tiger, but it is always going to be great to be an Auburn Tiger.
Amen.
We some of us sunshine pumped as much as we could while Harsin was here, but and some of us, including me, got to step back and eat your plate and take your crow, and that's part of being a fan, and especially being a part of a sports talking thing. Everybody's wrong at least once, and probably more than that. But I'm still going to be optimistic for Auburn. I'm looking forward to seeing what Cohen can do, who he brings in, how he builds this athletic department, not just in football, because clearly football is your moneymaker, and that's incredibly important. But there's other sports at Auburn. There's a lot of other sports that I'm excited to watch. So he's over all of Auburn sports. He's not just football. So if he just pours into football and we start winning and everything's great, is there enough left for the other sports at Auburn? That's important to me. I'm an Auburn fan, not just an Auburn football fan.
Yep. Pat Dye said it best. Alabama fans love Alabama football. Auburn fans love Auburn. I think you've exemplified that very well, my friend. So thank you for calling in, and thank you for your perspectives tonight.
Absolutely. War Eagle, everybody. Be safe out there. Have a great night. E2C for life.
E2C for life, baby. War Eagle. All right. That was Thomas. Thanks so much to him for calling in. We always love hearing from him and talking to him. Great perspectives from him. If you want to call in, take advantage of that link up above. And you don't have to be on camera like he was. You can be off camera. It can just be your voice, like a radio call-in show. Just put a little icon up there. Don't be shy. I might get after you sometimes, but I'm somewhat of a nice guy. Sometimes. Occasionally. I get a little raw sometimes. I did yesterday during the reaction, or the Saturday during the reaction show, but I think we've all been that place at once. Auburn's in a sad situation for now, but I got the E2C peeps to ride or die with. That's how it's supposed to be, Corey. And we appreciate so many of you new people that are here. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button. If you're subscribed, you will be entered in to our, or that's part one of entering into our football giveaway that we're doing. Links in the description. 22 Busy says, run the ball. Well, apparently from some of the football players today, and when the announcement was made to the team, they posted that as well. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. That's one of the things that scares me. Like, so a John Cohen, right? Looking towards the football search. Who does he go after? Well, there's 3 prime candidates that are very easy, and he has connections to the state of Mississippi. Deion, Lane. Mike Leach is not going to be a candidate, let's be honest, but you never can rule him out, especially when you're the guy that hired him at Mississippi State. So that's the big thing here is, do we talk about his Mississippi ties factoring into this at all? It'd be pretty interesting if that's something that happens here. Yeah, well, and the other thing too, WT, is sometimes those numbers are reflective of the other sites too, but we've got a pretty good crowd here as well. So do smash that like button if you can. Neil made it. Yes, Neil. Neil was worried he wouldn't get to see this at all because he's trick-or-treating right now. A lot of tricking earlier, a lot of treating right now. So thank you guys so much for hanging out here with us tonight. A lot of people on Facebook too. It's always good to see a lot of you over there. It's weird because those of you that are tuning in on Twitter, I know most people don't stay and watch on Twitter. It doesn't ever like show me that y'all are live. I don't think. So if you're wanting to be part of the conversation, you'll have to come over to YouTube preferably, but Facebook's available as well. One of the new major selling points for the new football coach is the state-of-the-art football facility. Lane and Prime have to look at that as a major recruiting. Well, anybody does. Yes. And you got to think about what John Cohen saw over here and what his job is so easy now in terms of, not easy, I shouldn't say that, easier when you look at your head coach and say, you want to come be part of this hotness over here? Work with me, baby. Let's make this thing happen. So that's going to play into this. John Cohen, I'm sure, was attracted by that beautiful thing that is open. And you kind of understand now why they've waited so long to officially open the facility. And, kind of thinking on this now, too. Yes, because of what was going to eventually, now we know, happen with Harsin. You wait because you don't want to have your current head coach that you're planning to get rid of be the guy that first steps foot in there. But maybe this is a nice treat for the boys to go in there before the head coach is named, to walk in there together and kind of not even be about the coach, just be about the team. This is about you guys, the players, past, present, and future. This is your facility. This is the place we've always dreamed of having for you. And that's what athletic director Cohen now gets to sell everybody on, not just players, not just coaches, but fans as well. My phone's been blowing up. Text me about the next head coach. I told them Kyle Shanahan is hired, and now they're not talking to me. Funny. Doesn't NIL money make AU very attractive for a coach? Helps with recruiting? No. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely does. Very good. We're in very good standing with that. So, there's a lot of things that are in favor for Auburn for search for a head coach, but especially when it comes to attracting an athletic director here. So we've asked earlier what you guys kind of thought about this. Can you think of any other positives or negatives for John Cohen coming in? I do want to continue to point out, as Thomas did a little bit earlier, the fact that this guy, and I actually wrote down some notes, and we're going to probably do a quicker version video for people that don't like live streams about all of this kind of stuff. But, some things that I pointed out, quick notes. SEC guy. Good relationships, from what I'm told, definitely with Butch. We know that for a fact, but with Bruce as well. The biggest program win for this one, already addressed it once, is baseball and the future plans that they have with that. I think Butch Thompson is now secure. I think we can say that now. Obviously, things can change, but when your former mentor is your boss, your ultimate boss again, and probably had a good relationship, that's got to be a win. Negative, he does not have experience with equestrian. I know that doesn't make a lot of you concerned, but it is something to remember. And then another negative might be some Mississippi State fans are glad he's gone, but we'd already addressed that a little bit earlier. So, all that being said, when you look at this and kind of get past the noise, get past the social media commentary of it, you're going to find, I think, a hire that by most people's standards is not going to be like knocked it out of the park, amazing hire just on the surface level. But I think you're going to find a solid hire with a solid foundation that will probably be a good marrying of the potential of Auburn and the potential of an AD. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Devin is being faithful watching out while trick-or-treating. I appreciate that as always. Ole Miss have a bye week this week. I think so. Don't quote me on that. Maybe. NIL is up to 13 million right now. I haven't looked at how that compares to everybody else. I think there's been a lot of articles written about that. Don't be surprised if Kendall Browse and Jeff Libby are in conversation, not advocating, just mentioning. Yeah, those are two names that came up last time around, so I wouldn't be shocked to see them associated again with that. I kind of started talking about this over a few minutes ago, but let me kind of come back to it a little bit as it relates to coaching decisions for John Cohen. I think what you have here is a unique opportunity with now the firing done. We've moved on. And Cadillac, this isn't, Kevin Steele was thrown into, and I think Kevin Steele was rightfully given the interim coach at the time. Obviously glad that didn't carry over, but this feels right. There's no baggage with Cadillac that we know of. He has nothing to lose. Just go out there and run the ball, play, have fun. So the question becomes for John Cohen, what happens if Cadillac, and this is a big if, humongous if, so please, folks, don't get all up in your sunshine pumping high horses when I say this, but just what if? What if Auburn beats Mississippi State? What if Auburn beats Texas A&M? By the way, got my tickets today, going to be there for the first time to watch them say run, or they run out of the tunnel and they say, go crazy, Cadillac, go crazy. I'm so ready for that. So what if he beats Mississippi State and does what Auburn should and beat Western Kentucky and sneaks into bowl eligibility? Dare I say, what if he beats Alabama? It's not going to happen, but what if? Is the head coaching job done then? Something to think about. I don't think that's going to happen, nor do I. It would be a lot of pressure on a first-year head coach, but boy, would it be a cool story. But the opportunity that I was getting at, it presents itself for him as the athletic director. Let this season play out how it will. Celebrate your new facility opening up. Take your time. Let your candidates who are likely not available yet do their seasons. End on a high note, hopefully, and just let the chips fall where they may. This is not a rush job. I'd be shocked. I shouldn't say shocked because I get new information every day. If a hire is made before the season is over, at least publicly, we're going to all have they're going to hear the national pundits and the local pundits say, such and such tells me, and we may even get privy to something and share that with you. But it's just a hunch right now. John Cohen probably will not name a head coach for a while. Just my opinion. That's very funny. I just saw that. That's an inside joke for people who have been part of E2C for quite some time. Alan says, I am not happy at AU. Don't know really what to make of that. I don't know how you could not be happy at AU. Yeah, I see the commentary about the boosters. We got to, y'all have got to let go of the booster narrative because you're a booster too if you're financially supporting the athletic department in any way. Bruce did put out a statement? I missed it. I missed that. I need to find a way to pull that up, actually. Is it on Twitter? I'd like to find that. We got some names being thrown out here. Todd Monken, Bill O'Brien, Josh Heupel. No, Josh is not coming over here. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for people, but I think some of the big names that you've already heard will be the options that they get. I think those are the likely two highest candidates right now. Would not be shocking, but we'll see. Only time will tell. We really need to hire a coach by tomorrow. Why is that, Unbeaten Lake? What's the rush? The damage is done. The firing's done. You got your AD in place. What is the rush on this? I don't think there needs to be a rush. You could say, well, their price will get higher, but what head coach that is smart and their agents that smart going to sign them to a deal when they're already having success at their current job when they could earn more money by the end of it? So I just don't think it's going to happen for a while. And I hope I'm wrong, because I would love to just stop waiting and have all these breaking news stories done. I love this type of stuff, but I hate this type of stuff too. Sean Clark? Who is Sean Clark? You mean Bill Clark? Is that what you mean? We got a game this Saturday is what you mean? Well, even if we hired a head coach tomorrow, they're not going to be the coach this Saturday. It's not going to happen. What type of timeline do you foresee for the hiring? I think I kind of laid that out already, WT. There's no backing of facts or rumors or sources that I have to say this. What I can simply say is the search lasting for the rest of the season, and probably, depending on what your top candidates are doing postseason wise, given that. Because let's just play devil's advocate. If you're a Lane Kiffin that's in the SEC championship game somehow, it'll be mid-December. If you win that and you go to the playoffs, longer than that. That's the nature of hiring some of these people that are having great success right now. So you're going to have to sit back and be a little bit patient. NFL coordinator coming for an interview. How about this? John Cohen will interview a bunch of people, I bet. I'm going to go ahead and say no to Matt Rule. Don't know Charles Kelly enough. Alabama guy, no. Jeff Grimes, I would accept that. I would accept Del McGee as an Auburn guy. If the Del McGee thing was going to happen, and I'm probably going to eat my words on this, and I will just take my lumps if that happens, but Del McGee has been flirted with for OC, for running backs coach, for head coach forever. And it just hasn't happened. So I just feel like that train has sailed. Will Muschamp? No, I'm done with Will. Will's been here long enough. But I say all this acknowledging that if they come here, I will, accept them. Oh, App State. Thank you. I think Auburn really needs to go for a Power 5 coach, to be honest with you. There will be a search committee, but Cohen gets to sign off. That's what I think. Cohen, his stipulations may be, I know who my guy is. We just got to wait for the right time of everything. But my feeling is there will be a search committee. There typically is for these type of things. Charles Kelly graduated from Auburn. Okay, well, then that gives him a little bit of legacy. I don't know him well enough. How do you, it's like him and Travaris Robinson. How do you do that to me, man? Why do you go over to the enemy? Don't do that to me. But yeah. All right. What else about John Cohen, the hiring, the firing, what it means for Auburn athletics in general sticks out to you? I know that we're trying to focus more so on that, but we're covering a wide range of things. What other things stick out to you in relation to all of this breaking news for Auburn today? And don't forget, you can call in. We've got a few minutes left. I'm going to try to send you guys over to some friends who are also doing a YouTube show after this, but we'll share about that in a minute. But what is on your mind? Don't be shy. Please do call in if you'd like to. Cohen is a baseball man. Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, Rob. Happy that this means Butch is secure. I think Bruce is secure outside of this, right? I think he's got a pretty good relationship with Cohen, so that's pretty good there. So Mississippi State has, I guess I said equestrian earlier. I don't think they have a gymnastics team, if I have that correct. So like gymnastics, and it's interesting. I actually got to meet Jeff Graba this weekend, and you blank on these things sometimes. I should have asked him, how are you feeling about all the AD search and stuff like that? But we had a short window with him, so I didn't know if that would have been appropriate or not. But yeah, I think Jeff Graba and Greg Williams have reached a point at Auburn where they don't have to worry about too much, though. It's kind of the same thing as a Bruce in their respective sports. Excuse me. Tennessee went G5. I guess you meant went to a group of 5. No, is UCF group of 5 yet? Oh, I keep thinking they're already in Big 12. So 22 busy. This notion, I'm not going to pick on you. This notion that the Josh Heupel hire is what Auburn should do is completely false. And it's not even, there's no relevancy to this whatsoever. You're taking apples and oranges and saying that they're the same thing. Not you specifically, but that argument. Just because someone else who's already had decades of irrelevancy and finally figured something out, that's what Auburn needs to do. That's what Auburn just did. Auburn needs experience at Power 5 at minimum, if not the SEC. Group of 5 works for some, and Florida, you said, that's not going that well right now. So, and at least you acknowledge that. He may have ruined that. And listen, I'm not saying that a coach cannot be successful coming from the group of 5 conferences. But don't you want to try something different this go around? Drew Rogers, do you think John Cohen will help fix recruiting? Well, the AD doesn't really do anything with recruiting outside of make the hires, do the recruiting. John Cohen can help fix recruiting in getting the right head coach here and the right who hires the right staff members that head coach wants to hire for. So really, if you want to talk about him affecting recruiting right now, his staff, the rest of the athletic department need a really good job for football specifically of selling this new facility and make a big splash. That's part of the reason I want Auburn University to invite us all for a preview there, meaning the media. Hopefully all of us in the media. Love to do that. Hint, hint, wink, wink, because we will make people see this. So there's really nothing that an AD really can do to fix recruiting directly. There you go. It's kind of talking about that there. Mickey Dean will be fired. No, he just upped his contract recently, so he's good. So World Series or bust is not a good place to be making those type of statements. You can just have success and still not make it to the World Series. It's tough to do that. You got to make it to the playoffs though, or the tournament. It's an interesting perspective on the offensive lineman. So really what's next for Coach Cohen? Obviously finding the head coach. I think he's got to come in and figure out the rest of the football situation, who he does want and not want there. You're going to also see, much like you saw with Allen Green when he came in, is going to clean house probably with not so much SIDs, I believe, the sports information director, because I think they kind of always stay because they just, I don't know, I don't work there. I just feel like last time we didn't see a lot of SID changeover. But you're going to see support staff, direct deputy directors and stuff. Rich McGlynn's already been kept on by him. First thing that he's decided to do. So that's what you're going to see happen first off here is the rest of the administration staff secured, moved, let go, and new ones brought into place. And then you're going to probably see the focus being put onto that head coach. That's already started. Don't hear me wrong. But there's other things to be done as well. I haven't read the article yet, so I keep seeing that posted. I'm not going to probably offer a comment on that until then. But that's I saw people talking about that today, and I'm like, did you think he was happy? It's fun, and I'm not obviously. You know me well enough, Rob. I'm not picking on you, but it's always funny to me, like when people act like that's a revelation. Like the dude left Auburn. Do you think he was happy? I mean, duh. Do you know any connections to coaches that Cohen might have? I don't personally. He has connections with Mike Leach. How does that make you feel? He's from Mississippi, so I can imagine that he knows well enough other Mississippi schools, but I don't know personally. Just saying, Bo Nix is 27. Listen, you know me. I'm a Bo Nix fan. Hated that he left. He ain't coming back, though, folks. He done. One of the casualties of war, so to speak. But, yeah. John Cohen, athletic director. Lots to do, lots to figure out, lots to fix here at Auburn. It's going to be quite the task. But you would obviously not take it if you didn't think you were up to the challenge. A couple more things on him I wanted to bring up to you. Let me see. I think we had some figures on him. I thought we had some numbers and things like that. Dun, dun, dun. If you just want to know his history in general, obviously we talked about the history at Mississippi State since 2009, back when he was a head coach starting there. Head baseball coach at Kentucky, assistant coach at Florida, head coach at Northwestern State, Missouri. So look, all but one of his stops have been in the Southeastern Conference. Now, yes, Missouri, when he was there, was not in the Southeastern Conference, but he's got connections up there. Those were a long time ago. But he knows his way around the SEC and knows how to be competitive in all sports. So you should be very happy about that. Rob, let's not don't wish that evil on us. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not understanding that one. Looks like you're going to be very busy the next couple of months, Kyle. Well, I'm never not busy. Here's the struggle, and I lamented about this today. I was talking with one of my sources yesterday, and I'm like, can we just ask the athletic department not to break all this at once? And they did, and I'm like, oh God, I'm so tired. I was going to be busy regardless, because for those of you that are new to the channel, I know a lot of you are finding us today. We're going to be doing post-game shows for maybe miss one or two of the basketball games. We do tons of content here, so don't miss out on it. Devin, don't get me started on that tonight. Don't get me started on that tonight. Do you think Dan Mullen might get the head coaching job? Please, no. Drew, don't wish that evil on us. I would say don't wish Dan Mullen, Urban Meyer. Mike Leach falls into that category, but I would at least be entertained by him. Bobby Petrino. There's a lot of no's. That's just a small batch of them. Yeah, Devin, call in. I've got a little bit more time if you want to call in, but she's out trick-or-treating, so remember that. We've all the inside jokes for E2C are coming out tonight. I appreciate that. That's one of the great things about, if you're finding us for the first time, be part of our community on a little bit more active manner if you can, because we have a great group of people here. We don't always agree. We get at each other sometimes, but we develop a nice little camaraderie here within the Auburn family. Very funny. Very funny. There's an article that Cohen's top guys, Kiffin, don't really want the man child. Let me just prep all of you right here. That's the first thing that Hillbilly and I have agreed on in a long time. So there you go. You are going to see articles and articles of articles written about stuff over the next day, 2 weeks, maybe months, until this thing gets figured out. Don't just buy into one source or one article. Try to take it with a grain of salt whenever you see it. Because if you had listened to the people that said John Cohen was going to be the athletic director on Saturday and it was a done deal, it wasn't until today. And that's a fact. Well, until at least late last night, but definitely today. Just because you saw an article that Kiffin's the top guy doesn't mean he is, but I can see a lot of reason to think that he would be. And that's like saying, well, I thought that would be a good analogy, but it's not. It's just super obvious. It's not saying anything grand. I missed most of Tiger Walk. How did it go? It'll be packed this go around. Let me just put it to you this way, guys. If you're not coming to Auburn, Alabama for Texas A&M, even if you don't got tickets, you need to be here. That place is going to be pumping. Right now, I think it's a high of 65, low of 44. So it's going to be on the chilly side. But there is the amount of, I've already bought my tickets because I know the ticket prices are going to raise after this. Don't know where I'm sitting exactly, but I will be in there ready to go. Be there to celebrate and welcome John Cohen for the first time. Be there to celebrate Cadillac Williams getting an interim head coaching job. It's going to be fun, y'all. It's the first time in a while we've been able to say that definitively. Win or lose, we're going to have fun doing it. Paul Feinbaum, I think, said Lane, right? I think that's what he said. Yeah, and see, that's the struggle that I have, WDT, because we get accused of that too, that especially with the Bo Nix story that we had a long time ago, just doing it for a click, just to get the subscribes and stuff like that. We had other content creators accusing us of that, but they don't actually know where we got the information from. The information can be true, but sometimes, you can only operate off what you know. Sometimes there is clickbait. So, because here's the thing, as content creators, whether you are a big media person or a small media, our job is to get you to click, right? But there is a difference between getting you to click, piquing your interest, and clickbait. So just be careful of it during coaching search season. First time, if I got to be head coach, no, y'all don't want to wish that evil on our school, because I would do things a lot differently. Let's see. It would be awesome if Cadillac goes undefeated as a head coach. Yeah, but don't get your hopes up, Neil. Don't do that to yourself, buddy. I love you. I love your optimism, but don't do that to yourself. All right, it is 9:00. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stay on a little bit longer. I'm going to stay on and leave the phone line open for just a few more minutes. If you want to call in, we'll cover some last-minute topics and conversations. Our friends at AU Wishbone, it's a podcast that's been going on forever. They also are on YouTube. They are going live right now. If you'd like to go over there, please tell them that we said hello from E2C Network and we sent you over there. Go there after this. But we're going to stay on for just a few more minutes because I love hanging out with you guys and we've got a great crowd here. So stick around for that. But let's start the process of closing out our show by reminding you of a few things. If you have not subscribed, we are doing a subscriber giveaway. Take advantage of it. All you got to do is subscribe on YouTube. That's it. On YouTube, not anywhere else, but on YouTube. And leave a comment on an eligible videos comment section. Live chats do not count because it's just too difficult with the amount of chats we get. That's all you have to do. Leave a comment on any one of them. But I encourage you to leave a comment on every one of them that are eligible. Details are in the description. If you have not subscribed, do so, as I said, but you could also become a Booster Club member. Or if you just want to stay on YouTube, be a channel member here. $1 a month is all it takes, and it helps keep the light on here, helps us upgrade our equipment, become bigger and better, and continue to grow our little family within the Auburn family. All right. Let's get to some final comments and questions here. I appreciate the kind words, WT. We'd love having you here too. This is going to sound cliche, but I hope you guys understand this when I mean this. This is your, whatever you want to call it, your channel, your site, your social media, because this is about you and the Auburn experience. Yes, I am in front of the camera. Our contributors are on their podcast, but it's about all of us. So I appreciate that. But this is what you make it. Help us build this little family within the Auburn family. And you guys have done a great job of doing that. So thank you. Let me come back to some other questions here. Do you think we'll be bowl eligible? My gut says no. My heart believes. My heart believes. Let's see here. People talk about how Hugh Freeze beat Saban twice, but my thing is we have to not focus on that because we have other rivals, LSU. Yes, Alan, but the problem is with that line of thinking is you have to start at classification point A. You have to win in state, and do that. You have to beat them in recruiting, and beating them helps. So you want somebody who probably has. So that's his biggest advantage, is that he has proven to be one of the few that's got Nick Saban figured out. So that's a leg up for Hugh Freeze, or high, however you say it. My question that we may never find out is, what did Harsin do to make the media hate him? I doubt our next coach will get as much hate as he did. I do want to speak on this because I think it's fair to have commentary on this, but I understand that, these will get reported to other media peoples of me saying bad things about. I'm not naming names or anything like that. Harsin made some choices that do not align with the ideals of others, and that made enemies of people that already didn't kind of like him because personalities don't clash, ideals don't clash. There's a lot of that went on. It's clear. I can't prove that, but I can look at a narrative and kind of watch the timeline of things. I also think there's room. I saw a media person say this the other day, that they understood Harsin's pushback against the media, but also said that there should have been a little bit more understanding from him. And I agree with that. And I thought that was a very fair take. I think there's room for improvement on both sides. I need an in-depth video on Kyle's belief of a 4-year minimum for head coach. Well, that's a very easy one to make, but I probably don't have the time for that right now. I'm optimistic about the next hire. Auburn cannot afford. I agree. John Cohen has got his work cut out for him in terms of making this hire count. If John Cohen gets this right, with Bruce Pearl at the helm for basketball, with Brent Crouch at volleyball, Jeff Graba at gymnastics, Butch Thompson at baseball, and you've got some guys and girls in leadership positions at other Auburn programs that are in the right direction, you are going to be looking pretty good as an AD. I think John Cohen looked at this situation and said, there is a lot of potential for me to not have to work so hard outside of this one. Brian, I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I'm doing my best, and I don't always do the perfect job, but I try to help you guys be informed and entertained as best I can. Todd Monken is the answer. Nah. And Dion's not the answer either. But if he comes, we'll support him. If it's Lane, the tweets will be outrageously funny. That's for sure. That will be absolutely for sure. Yeah, I agree. The missing piece right now is football. There's a lot of other things that are in place and ready to go. Soccer is not having the best time right now, but Coach Hoppe is a good one, and I hope, as the most tenured coach, that she stays around for quite some time. She's a good one. They will bounce back very, very, very quickly. So, Rob, that's a good thing here is when you're thinking about this in terms of the hire for John Cohen, Dion has a big ego. I don't feel like I'm making a mean statement. I'm just stating facts. I think we can all see that. I think Dion presents a lot of good opportunities that are very short term. The question is will those be sustained? And there's no proof of concept for that. Because if that's the case, we might have stuck with a non-Power 5 for a person. It's really, Dion will present a lot of challenges. The question John Cohen has to ask himself, does he want those challenges? But I also think he presents a lot of opportunity. So what does it outweigh? The challenges that might be there and the opportunities that might be there. And that's what he has to decide. Soccer is a real sport when it comes to Auburn, Neil, but only when it comes to Auburn. Yeah, Coach Hoppe is one of the good ones. One of my favorite coaches that I've had an opportunity to interview, and love her to death. I just, there are people that you look at and you're just like, it screams Auburn. Coach Hoppe is one of those. Do you think Cohen will be there when we are in the Final Four? Well, hope so, because we got Bruce Pearl here. Sure seems highly likely, doesn't it? People talking about 5 stars. Yes, listen, if you're making decisions based off getting 5 stars, then you're not thinking long term. 5 stars are not the answer. If that's the case, Texas A&M would be better. Yeah, and the other thing when you think about John Cohen, when's the last time that you're coming in as an AD with back-to-back losing seasons? It's going to warrant you, your head coach choice, a lot of time to get things right. It really will. It really will. That's an interesting statement. All right, final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Bring them out now. We've had a good stream tonight. Just as a reminder to all of you guys, the rest of the season, our plan is still to be live on Monday nights for grade shows, unless crazier things continue to happen. Always stay subscribed so you never know what's going to happen. Wednesday nights is normally going to be our call-in show that we normally do for people just to talk about anything. And the plan is to still do that this week. We do have a exhibition game in the middle of that, so that may change. We'll see. But normally our schedules are Monday, Wednesday, Thursday for preview for football. And we've got plenty of that left and things to be excited about with that. So don't miss your opportunities to be a part of the content here. How long will it take for Auburn to have a winning season once they have a head coach? It's a big question with not a lot of definitive answers on it. You will find out what the foundation that is left pretty early into next year. It won't take long to figure that out. It probably won't be next year. A winning season. How about this? Let me backtrack that a little. Auburn is always capable of going no worse than 8-4. They will garner that amount of talent, that type of talent. Will they is the big question. So that's a winning season. So next year. But we'll wait and see. Those are big questions to figure out then. It is definitely bright now. Kyle taught me that recruiting only matters in gymnastics. Other than that, it's about development. No, see, I think gymnastics is a good indication that development matters more because it's just till now that they've been recruiting the big ones from there. You better call in, Devin, if we do the show. We're planning on doing it, but that whole exhibition thing, we got to think if that's going to get people over here or not to watch. All right, final comments and questions here. What's the spread on Caddy winning an SEC game? Pretty good. Mississippi State and Texas A&M are the bottom of the SEC along with us. Well, Texas A&M. I'm going to tell you right now where I sit right now, and I'm all hyped up just because of the excitement of Caddy and us getting an AD finally. Texas A&M ain't got a shot. That place is going to be pumping. It's going to be louder than the Penn State game. It's going to be louder than LSU. I'm so excited. If you can get to Auburn, get there. Key, the portal is key. Yeah, definitely the portal will be very helpful this year, but we cannot rely on that forever. We have to begin rebuilding from the ground up, and we'll take some time to do so. All right, folks. Thank y'all so much for being here. Great crowd tonight. Stay subscribed. Smash that like button on the way out. We will probably do something on Wednesday, if not sooner. I will probably tomorrow have a video out for you guys with coaching candidates and things like that. I know we got a lot of new faces here, but I hope you guys will stick around and enjoy hanging out with me more often. It's been a fun Halloween night and day covering all things Auburn here on this show. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Good times are coming again, folks. Saddle up.